A new governor of South Dakota, Larry Rhoden. Governor, welcome. Obviously, Kristi Noem has been elevated to the cabinet. You now have been elevated to the governor's spot. Welcome. Good luck in the new job. Your thoughts tonight on President Trump and the Trump effect, as we like to say. A lot of skeptics on the left that Venezuela and other countries would take back illegals, but they're doing it. Your thoughts tonight, sir?
Well, I'm excited about what's going on. We've seen so much progress just in the last few weeks with Trump as our president. And there's a huge sense of optimism in South Dakota, especially with Governor Noem, former Governor Noem, now Secretary Noem, working with President Trump to work on this issue. And I know Secretary Noem very well. And I've told people that I couldn't think of a person on the planet that was better equipped than her to come alongside President Trump and resolve this massive situation that we found ourselves in, that the Trump administration inherited from Biden's policies for the last 4 years.
Yeah, absolutely. She's been showing up there with the Border Patrol and with ICE, whether it's ball caps, the body armor. She's had cowboy hats. She's been riding horses. I see you're a simple guy there in South Dakota. You're just kind of showing up in the standard business suit. But in all seriousness, your thoughts on the first 3 weeks or so here of Kristi Noem and the transition. She seems to be all over this crisis.
Yeah, I had all the confidence in the world in Kristi Noem and her abilities. Nobody knows better than me how tough she is. And in fact, I've told people I think she's the toughest person I know. And you might not think that looking at her, but she knows how to get things done. And I think she's the perfect partner for President Trump in resolving this issue.
We like to say there are no more border states. It used to be that I covered this issue, say, 20 years ago. It was all about Texas and Arizona. And then I remember being on the campaign trail a couple of decades ago, and people in Iowa were saying, we have a problem with illegal immigrants. Tell our viewers at Newsmax what's going on in the great state of South Dakota. Pretty far from the southern border. You got the northern border pretty close, obviously. But it seems to me you just had to pass this law banning sanctuary cities in your state. You must have obviously have a challenge. How are you heading it on and taking it on?
Well, this is a step. I think it was important. I think we joined other states in declaring us outlawing sanctuary cities. And I think that's a clear statement of support for the Trump administration and Secretary Noem in their efforts. We have seen the impact of illegal immigration. And like you said, so much so that the governor has sent our National Guard to the border, I think 8 times, if I'm correct. So we recognized early on that this was a huge issue for the security and the safety of our nation and South Dakota.
Absolutely. Governor, shifting gears before we go, it's great to have you on live tonight. Talk a little bit about the tariffs as well, because the president has been pretty tough on that, using it as a negotiating tool. We've seen Canada and Mexico back down in the short term, but there's a concern about the farmers in your home state of South Dakota. There's concern about people watching tonight in your state and around this great country with groceries that are still stubbornly too high. That obviously started under Biden-Harris, but it's now something this president's going to have to wrestle with. Are you concerned about the tariffs? The president talks about a broader matrix here that I understand. I'm sure you understand as well. But in the short term, he's admitted there could be pain. Are you concerned for your farmers? Are you concerned about what you're seeing in the grocery store?
Well, anything that relates to agriculture is very high on our radar. That's our number one industry. It outpaces our number 2 industry by 7-fold. So obviously, Secretary Noem and I were both farmer ranchers, so it's high on our list of priorities, and I understand the concerns. But I've reminded people, we've been down this road before, and Trump has been very effective in his negotiating skills and even the threat of tariffs. But in past history, and I believe it will repeat itself, we've come out on the positive end of those negotiations. So I think our farmers and ranchers still have that sense of trust in President Trump that we had 4 years ago.
Yeah, I think it was maybe his first weekend in office. The president of Colombia was saying, no, we're not going to take illegal immigrants. And all of a sudden there was talk of tariffs. And the president of Colombia backed down in about 40 or 50 minutes, sir.
Yep, there you go. Classic example.
The Trump effect, they call it. Governor Larry Rhoden there in the great state of South Dakota. Well, we come back to Newsmax and Newsmax 2, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.